back, guys. Unfortunately, it's that time of the year where I think I'm gonna start getting rained out and snowed out. It kind of blows a little bit, but I mean, not much you can do about that one. But I have got a lot of work done on the old truck, so that's pretty good. This one here is going to be a lot of trying to slam stuff back together, and we're going to try to close everything up here so we have a chance to go try this thing. I would really love to take it out for a rip. I don't know how much of testing I'm actually going to do with it though. So how reliable, you know what, shakedown run. Yeah, shakedown run. That's actually super important. So yeah, stay tuned and then we'll see how successful I am. All right, so we got the world's most ghetto setup here. So I got one battery for the starter. I got one battery for the MSD. I have an oil pressure gauge in the back port. I got one battery here that mans the fuel pump that goes to the carb. It's not gonna be loud. Oh my. So of course, the inevitable happened and it didn't start. So I was troubleshooting for, I'm not gonna lie, the better part of 8 hours here, just going around checking everything, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And I realized there's no spark. So long story short, looking around, thought it was a CDI box. Installed a ignition module instead of it. Everything started, and then after a pile of troubleshooting, found out that the magnetic pickup was too far in the distributor. So adjusted the gap, and here we go. All right, so amongst other things that we have to get sorted out here, something that's very often overlooked, right? So when you're dealing with carburetors, there's a lot of magic going behind it. Physics, all that good stuff. There's something in one of the metering blocks called a power valve. So if you guys don't know what that is, it looks like this, right? And if you look in the front, they always have a number. So this one here, this one right there is the one that I'm after. What does that mean? So I know this engine has, at idle, roughly 9 inches of vacuum, okay? The vacuum holds the power valve shut. And by holding it shut, there's less fuel going into the engine. So as soon as the vacuum signal drops, meaning when you hit the fuel, then the power valve can release more fuel into the engine. It's important to have this thing matched up, because if you don't, what's going to happen is when you're trying to hammer the fuel, You're gonna have a bog, you're gonna have, even more importantly, a lean spot. You don't want lean spots. So, rule of thumb is you put the power valve that matches half of your vacuum. So I'll make it easy. If you had 20 inches of vacuum, then you put a number 10 power valve. And if you had an oddball number, let's say 21, for example, I'm gonna put a 10 point, no, round a little lower, right? And then just put the number that's below that. Don't go higher into the power valve, it'll just mess everything up. Go lower if anything. So let's get this thing swapped out. The other little trick you want to keep in mind too when you're dealing with carbs, you have to keep in mind that the bowl is full of fuel, right? So something I like to do is just to grab a little container, you put it underneath the bottom, one of the bottom bolts, and when you pull the screw out, then the fuel pours into here instead of pouring absolutely everywhere on your engine. Keep in mind there is still a bit of fuel in there though. Well, yes. There we go. And here's our power valve right there. So this one here, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of rough. Oh, maybe. There's a 5 and there's a 6 here, so 65, all right? So obviously it's the wrong one that's in there. Remember, this is torqued to 120 foot-pounds. No, just tighten it by hand, you know what I mean? Common mistake when you're putting these back onto is to forget to put the accelerator pump linkage back together properly. On to the next one. It's pretty easy to get lost when you're starting to mess around with the wires a little bit there. I am going to go into detail a bit more into a further episode of more stuff on wiring because it is a little daunting, and this one here I've been a bit on a time frame, fortunately. But one thing that really helps, grab your masking tape, and then there you go. You write down the function of each wire as you find it, right? So I had to go back into the MSD PDF here because I didn't remember exactly where all the wires went. So just identified all that stuff, get that done, and then be attacked by some more flies, apparently. If I open my mouth, you think it'll go in? Apparently not. Okay. Okay, so moving along here, you see we put the front end back on. Front end I needed because I needed to be sure exactly where all the wires went and all that stuff, and some of the power supply goes through that front clip, right? That front part also holds the radiator. While I'm here, there's something I've been wanting to do on this radiator for a little bit there, and I thought it'd be good to show you guys. So I have an electric fan, as you can probably see here, and this one is controlled from a little unit on the side, and it has a thermal sending unit, if you will, like a sensor. I had this one mounted on the intake. It worked okay. The only problem I had with that though is that as soon as the engine got the operating temperature, the fan was just always on. It was kind of a pain a little bit, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just relocate it right next to my inlet right here, right? So I got a nice little flat spot there. I'll get a nice little shot of this. I got a nice little flat spot right here. So I'm gonna drill into here, put my fitting, solder everything back up. Then afterwards we'll be able to put our sensor right here. Should be pretty good. Okay, so you can see a little bit better the spot I'm going to be using right here. What I got is this fitting, right? So it's threaded, but the metal is a little bit too thin to thread in there. So what I'm gonna do is just drill, put this guy in here, and then afterwards I'll be able to screw into it. So keep in mind, this old radiator is made out of brass. So brass, copper, whatever it is, right? If it was a newer style aluminum radiator, it's a lot thicker up here, so you can most likely just thread this part in or thread your other piece directly into here. If it's plastic, you can probably thread and install this at your own risk, but be gentle with it, obviously. It is plastic, but in my case, I'll be able to solder onto this. So what I want to do first is locate where I'm going to put it. I'm going to drill a pilot hole, then I'm going to flip the entire rad upside down because I don't want all my shavings to end up inside, right? I want gravity to help me out a little bit. Oh, there we go. Well guys, I gotta say that'll be it for this one here. So as far as a shakedown run could go, that was pretty damn near perfect. So went for a little rip, had a chance to open it up a little bit. Let me tell you something, it's fast. Yeah, it's fast. Problem I got though is that having so much power and so much weight, it breaks stuff, right? So a couple bolts broke, for example, the ones from the bell housing to the engine, those snapped. It just happens, whatever. So I got some proper ones coming in. A little bit of suspension stuff was giving me a hard time, but you'll see this one in the very near future. So for this time, your man Porter here is signing out. Really hope you enjoy this one. I had a blast doing it. Remember to hit that subscribe button, comment, share it with your friends. All that stuff helps me. We'll see you on the next one.